Everyone to Agile Coaching Roundtable. Today is the 23rd session and the topic for today is product management in Scrum. So before we start the session, I would like to understand how many of you are working as either a product owner or a product manager in your organization. Anyone who is working? Okay, see Bhanu working as product. Okay, so Bhanu, is it product owner?
It's just a mixture of both. So basically, I don't completely call myself as a product owner, but the roles and the responsibilities which I handle, right? So those are something which actually are in line with what a product owner does. So that's how I can say that I am into that role of a product owner and a business analyst.
All right. And Prajakta, you were saying something, right?
Yeah, I was in tech. I was into technical, and like recently, I joined as a Scrum Master in.
Mhm.
And
So basically, you're working as a Scrum Master. Is my understanding correct?
Yeah, but you know the responsibility they are like giving me like to all project manager to like manage their work stream. You know, help them to like organize their work stream into the data because they are not like following the agile. They are going.
Okay.
It's like working with the.
All right. All right. Okay. So I think I do understand that you guys have built idea about the roles of product owner and product manager and scrum master and all of that. So let's get started and let me share my screen and let me know if you guys are able to see the screen.
Yes, Ramya. Yes, screen is visible.
Okay, and I'll turn off my video for the quality purposes. All right. First of all, let us understand what is product management. So basically, product management, it is that strategic function that helps to build right product. So can anyone tell me what do you mean by right product? Any idea what do you mean by right product?
Is
Anything
it
that
which the business is expecting? I mean, which is basically what is being expected. I mean,
yes.
it's in line with what the vision company has, or based on what they vision, okay, the product what they want to launch. So it is in line with those requirements. Maybe that fulfills that requirement, that product.
Yes. So you are almost there, and yes, that's correct. So basically, right product means the product that yields value to the customer, by which a customer can get benefits out of that product. So basically, that is what a right product means. And who decides whether it is the right product or not? Any thoughts?
Product owner?
Is it the product manager or the customer itself?
Yeah, it is the customer
Yeah.
who decides whether you have built the right product or not. It is the customer who validates the product, and he is the one who will decide whether you have delivered value or not, or whether the product is right or not. So it is not the product owner or developers or scrum masters or management. It is the customer himself or herself. All right. Let's understand what is the role of product owner in the entire product management. So what if I have to just give you or put it this way, product owner is the role which is part of the Scrum framework. right? So product owner is part of the Scrum framework under Agile, and but then we do not have a product manager role in Scrum framework, right? So when we talk about product owner, what all we think is, or we assume is, the product owner is someone who manages the entire product backlog, right? He is responsible for product backlog, and he ensures that team delivers the product increment, and also a team delivers the functionalities or features or etc. No, that is not correct. I mean, the role of the product owner is not restricted to that. The role of the product owner is that he manages the entire product journey from vision to backlog, entire backlog, that is tactics. So why do we say so? Because in the beginning itself, Bhanu has mentioned, right? So it's mix of both. That means the product owner and product manager are two different roles, right? They are not the same. So if I have to put it in the other way, product owner is the subset of product manager. So since we do not have a product manager's role in Scrum, so what we assume is whatever the responsibilities of product manager, that is defining, understanding the vision, and defining the goals, or maybe defining the strategy, and to follow that strategy, defining the tactics, all these things, right from the product vision to the tactics, the entire product journey, the responsibility is of a product owner, since we do not have that separate role of a product manager in the product owner. So that is what is the actual role of a product owner should be. Basically, it's that should be the roles and responsibilities of product owner. But then if you, when you see in the safe, we have these two different roles. You have a product owner, you also have a product manager. So the responsibilities are segregated. But what happens in Scrum is there is no special role, but it is expected out of product owner to take care of all those things. But what really happens on the ground, I mean, this is what I have seen mostly, is that the product owner is only limited, or his scope is limited to managing the product backlog, or ensuring that features, user stories, epics are delivered by the development team, and so on. That is what is mostly seen as a for the product owner role. It is like more or less like a Scrum Master role that we are talking about recently. I mean, you might have seen this trend, right? That people come and do this 2 days of certification for Scrum Master, and then they start applying, or acting as a Scrum Master. And that is where, and they will just play at a mechanics of the Scrum Mastery. Basically, they just do the mechanics of Scrum Master, that is facilitation of events, and people think that they are like a Scrum Master, but that is not the case. Similarly, that goes true for product owner as well. Product owner role, as I've mentioned, it is in the Scrum framework, or it is defined in the Scrum framework. But just doing 2 days of certification and just managing the backlog is not the only responsibility of the product owner. So when, according to me, if a product owner just manages the product backlog and ensures that features are delivered, then he's again playing a mechanical product owner, and he is not actually playing a product, taking up product manager's activities. So only difference is that now Scrum Masters, this side of things have been put in light, or that have been exposed, wherein just 2 days of certification is not enough to play a role of a Scrum Master, or to qualify as a Scrum Master and not play at the mechanics. However, the product owner has not come to light. So that is the only difference. But I see that happening real soon, because now Scrum has also like talks about product goal, and all of those things, sprint goal, product goal. So I mean, this is not just a word that has been put in the Scrum Guide, but there's a lot of meaning to it. So once people understands importance of that product goal and sprint goal, right, is when these kind of product owners, or I mean, just doing the certification and just playing at the surface level or taking care of the mechanics of product owner will also be, exposed to others like Scrum Master. So there is a lot more to it. So what we are going to do in this session is like for today's session, we are just going to understand the importance of product management in the Scrum, and how it is going. I mean, how can we play Scrum in this entire product management scheme of things. In the further sessions, maybe we would be planning or we can plan for a series wherein we would be talking about the product management in more detail. So for this session, we would be sticking to the basics of product management or introduction or overview. All right. So what is product goal and role of a product owner as per the Scrum Guide? So this is the excerpt from the Scrum Guide. So if you notice page number 12 of Scrum Guide, that is Scrum Guide 2020, the product goal, Scrum Guide 2020 introduces product goal to Scrum. So earlier there was no product goal. Now, as per the Scrum Guide 2020, we have product goal in the Scrum. So what does that product goal according to the Scrum Guide? Product goal describes a future state of the product which can serve as a target for the Scrum team to plan against. The product goal is a long-term objective for the Scrum team. They must fulfill or abandon one objective before taking on to the next. So what is Scrum Guide saying? It is the future state of the product. Product goal is nothing but the future state of the product, and that the Scrum team, obviously, which also includes the product owner, should fulfill or complete or abandon one objective before taking on to the next. So one after the other, you have to define, pick up the goals, and you have to complete. So this is what the Scrum Guide talks about the product goal, and this may seem to be just one or two sentences, but there is a lot of meaning to it. So when people start concentrating or focusing on these sentences like product goal, one objective after the other objective, your entire outlook of approaching the product changes, or approaching your product journey changes as a product owner. So these things are like really important, and good that we have these things introduced in Scrum Guide. Now product management will hold value, hopefully, in the Scrum framework. And the next point about product owner is that the product owner is accountable for maximizing the value of the product resulting from work of the Scrum team. So what is product owner accountable? He is not just accountable for ensuring team delivers the features or user stories or epics or whatever, but also, or the main focus is that to maximize the value of the product. The product owner is accountable for maximizing the value. However, how this is done may vary widely across the organizations, Scrum teams, and individuals. So that is what the Scrum Guide, the beauty of the Scrum Guide is. It doesn't tell you how. It is that throughout, not just for the product owner, it's how to implement the Scrum is left to discrete of the individual, because it is something to be figured out as per your context of your product or project or your organization. So how to maximize the value is not told by the Scrum Guide. However, it clearly mentions that the accountability of a product owner is maximizing the value. So whoever is playing the role of the product owner should understand that the responsibility does not start and end at product backlog. It is beyond that. So there is like a bigger world beyond the product backlog. So, I mean, if we as a product owners can concentrate or focus on the bigger world beyond the product backlog is when we will ensure that we are delivering the maximum value of the product. Also, your Scrum will be like implementation would be, to the highest potential, basically. So it's not doing the mechanical things, but also doing it tactically or strategically and to the context of your work. All right. So how do we maximize the value? By focusing on the value delivery. And what happens if we do not focus on the value delivery? So if you notice in this example, so this is one of the pictures that that I have picked up, wherein this is a road and there is a water logging. There is a drainage system installed over here, but then it is not performing what it is supposed to perform, right? The main idea of this drainage system is to suck in all the water or absorb all the water so that water logging does not happen. But this is what happens when you do not concentrate on value delivery, but when you concentrate just on the surface level or mechanics of it by just delivering functionalities or features or epics, but not customer is not actually benefiting out of it. This is what happens when you do not focus on the value delivery. So if we really have to, this looks like very funny, and this is, I have used today as one of my LinkedIn posts. So it's like if we just look at the deeper side of things, this is a problematic thing, right? So if we really want to ensure that we are maximizing the value, then the system has to perform in such a way that it yields benefits or value to the customer. So here there is no, the purpose is not met. Even though you have delivered the functionality, the purpose of sucking or absorbing the water into the drainage system, the basic purpose is not met. So this is what happens when you do not focus on value delivery. So now let's see how do we do that. How do we focus on the value delivery now? Any thoughts on this? Any inputs on how do we focus on the value delivery? Anyone? Yes, Bhanu.
Ramya, actually, I raised my hand because I had two questions actually on the
Yes,
previous
please.
slide, what you have said. So, as you said, product manager role is not defined as per the Scrum guidelines. So, where do we see this role being actually defined?
So what we have to do is, when you see that the product owner role, right, in
Mhm.
Scrum, so there is no bifurcation that is given that no, from this responsibility to this responsibility, a product manager has to do, and from this onwards to this, product owner has to do.
Okay.
Here, there is only one role in Scrum that is called as product owner. And when we say that there is this role of a product owner, that means that all the responsibilities of the product manager are equally applicable for product owner as well. The product owner has to take up the product manager's responsibility of
Okay.
ensuring the entire product journey. Otherwise, there would be a gap created, right? Because we do not have a separate role for a product manager
Okay. So
in
the reason
Scrum.
why I asked this question because in my company I went through one of the training courses for product owner.
Mhm.
So in there, what they talked about that project manager and product owners are two different roles is what they
Yes.
discussed there. So basically, as you showed in the first slide, right? So the priority, the main role of a product owner is to, who owns the backlog, and the second is who is responsible for maximizing the team's output. So
Right.
yes, so that is another follow-up question which I wanted to ask you. When we say delivering the maximum value, responsibility of delivering the maximum value, is it the maximum value in terms of the feature or any item what we are we are going to deliver, or it is the maximum value of, or basically the maximum output value from the team that which is working. So
No,
what is
not
that value we're talking
from
about?
the, yeah. So it's not, so these are like interlinked. These are not two different things, right?
Okay.
Maximum output from the team or maximum value to the team. So whatever we are working on is for delivering value to the customer. And what is that value is what customer is going to tell us. So that is
Okay.
what, so if you see, look at this way, you have a product vision, right? And
Okay.
that product vision tells us how to derive a product goal. From that vision, you derive a product goal. So now this product goal is applicable for all your product backlog items or the entire product backlog. So you have a product goal for the entire product. Now, when from that product goal, when you pick up few items, then you are deriving a sprint goal.
That's
When you
right.
are achieving that sprint goal, and when you are doing what you are supposed to do, and when your customer validates that what your team has done by the end of the sprint, and gives that feedback or validates whatever product increment that the team has delivered is of highest value, or whatever is that he was looking for, that means you're delivering value. It is
Okay.
not that getting the value of delivering maximum output from the team. There
Okay.
is no point. I mean, you may get the maximum output from the team, but that doesn't mean you're delivering value.
That's true. Yes. So that's what I just wanted to understand. What specific? Yeah, I got the point. Thank you.
Yeah. And the point which you mentioned about the where do we define these roles? As I mentioned, in SAFe you have product manager and product owner separately or differently
Okay.
defined. In Scrum, there is no bifurcation as such. So if there is no
Okay.
bifurcation, then that goes without saying that everything has to be done by the product owner. And if you do not do, then there is a gap created.
Okay. Thanks, Ramya. Yeah, I got that.
Let me just go back to the
Yes.
slide. Yes. So how do we focus on value delivery? So as I have covered now, so basically what we want to focus is whether what our customer wants us for this particular sprint or for this particular timeline is what we are doing rightly or not, whether we are doing a right product increment or not. If we are doing the right product increment and that is being validated by the customer, then we are focusing on the value delivery. So that is what it says. So how do we focus on the value delivery? First and foremost thing is understand customers problem and need. So this is, this is the approach that I am just trying to put forward, or just the thought process that I want to put over here. How do we approach this value delivery? So first of all, if we want to deliver value to the customer, first we will have to understand what the customer wants, or what is the need of the customer, and what is the problem of the customer. What is the problem that he or she is trying to resolve? So if you notice in this example, the problem over here is waterlogging, right? That is the fundamental problem. Now, when you know the problem statement is when your entire thought process changes. If you want to just understand from this perspective, so what happens is if you don't understand the problem statement, but you just focus on what is the product about. Just an example. So this product is about building a drainage system on the road. This is the product. But if you do not know what problems are you going to solve with that drainage system, you would never give that value to the customer. If you don't relate to that problem, or when you don't know what the problem is, you will never going to build a right product, right? So here what happened was the problem was never understood. Whoever has worked on this system has never understood what the problem is. What they understood is that, oh, customer wants a drainage system and they have just built it. But is that meeting the purpose? Is that solving the problem? Is not taken care of. That is the reason why we are saying that focus on value delivery is very important. And how do we focus? The first step is by understanding the customer's problem and need. So here the problem was waterlogging, and how do we resolve that problem? By building a drainage system. So this is the need. So these are the two things: customer's problem and need. Any questions on this, on the customer problem and need? Anyone?
No, Ramya. So basically what we are saying is it's about what business problem we are solving and
Yes.
then what business benefit we are going to achieve.
Exactly.
Okay.
Right. So if you're going to think from that perspective, is what your following approaches would be, changing. So if you are going to approach this as we want to build a drainage system, your approach would be different. But here, if you say that we want to solve a water logging issue, and to solve that, we'll have to build a drainage system, then your approach towards it entirely changes. And when you as a product owner or a product manager understands this, that will be translated to your team as well in that direction. So if you as a product owner, if you or product manager do not understand this problem or this main fundamental thing, then that will never be translated to your team members, and that is where the entire problem arises. Okay. Next is check what will happen differently if the product is built successfully. Now you know what the problem is. Now the problem over here is waterlogging. Next step, if you really want to understand more deeper or just want to put a right approach to it, what you'll have to do is just try to understand this way. Ask your customer, assume that if this product is built successfully, or if in this context, if this drainage system is built successfully, what is that you're going to achieve or what benefit you will get from it. Hypothetically assume this and ask him or her, ask your customer to answer to this question. So assume that you have built a product, a drainage system in this sense. How is that going to resolve your problem? How is that you're going to benefit you? So if you are going to question in that lines, is when you are going to kind of go towards the right approach. So this would be the second question, or this would be second thought process that you will have to work towards. First was understanding the problems. Second was, if you are going to build the system successfully or the product successfully, what problem is it going to be eliminated, or how the customer is going to benefit out of it. Third is understand the product vision and define the product goal. Now you have the problem. Now you know the solution. So once you know the problem, once you understand the problem, once you know what benefit you want to give to the customer, now you have got that the underlying product vision. Now you try to understand the product vision. So what is the vision in this context? Can anyone tell what is the product vision for this context? Any thoughts?
Needs to drain. Is that correct?
Anyone would want to give it a try?
The vision of the product is to develop a product or deliver um, a product which can be used during floods or probably when there is a water clogging. So to develop a system so that the clogging problem is resolved, or probably the water which is there is all synced to the drainage system.
Exactly. Right. So now if you have to look at this example and just derive the product, now you know the problem. Since you know the problem, you know what product you're going to build. So what the fundamental product vision would be, we want to build a drainage system so that the waterlogging problem is eliminated. so that the waterlogging problem is resolved. So why you are doing that? Because there is a waterlogging. So this is your product vision. So what we are trying to say is understand the product vision and then define your product goal. Now, what would be your goal? So there could be a goal to build a system, drainage system. Now you have a vision because you also know what is the problem area. Now you are defining a product goal. So what is your product goal over here? Product goal could be building a drainage system. So this is your product goal. Now, earlier, if we had to just say that we want to build a drainage system, which ultimately is the product goal, without understanding the problem, will the scenario be same uh, before and after understanding the problem? What do you think? Will the scenario be same?
No, I think then
Defining a product goal.
no, I think if we are just defining the product goal without having a product vision, understanding the vision, then it is like developing the product in it's a standalone or in a black box.
Exactly. Right. And I'm happy that you have mentioned that black box word over here. So you don't know, you're just trying to do a trial and error, build something of which you don't know what would be the benefit, or you don't know how it is going to help your end user, basically. So that is what exactly, and that is why it is very important for us to understand the product vision. This could be like just another two words, but there is a lot of meaning to it. Now when you go back to the Scrum guide and read those sentences, it will make a lot of sense to you. So what is that product goal all about, right? So product goal describes the future state of the product, which can serve as a target for the Scrum team to plan against. Product goal is a long-term objective for the Scrum team. They must fulfill or abandon one objective before taking on to the next. So basically, now it makes a lot of sense when you talk about product goal. And I'm sure that when you now relate to the example that we have given, you understand what is the value of a product vision and the product goal. So that is what I'm just trying to put forward. So if you as a product owner are just going to understand your product backlog items and you're just going to get that product backlog items knocked off by your team every sprint, you really don't know whether you're solving that original product problem, customer's problem or not. You will really don't know, or you will just try to like in a puzzle, you're just going to try and fit parts and see whether okay, if this clicks or not, if no, then pick up another one. So this is what you're going to just play around the puzzle if you just play blindly in a black box without understanding a product vision and product goal. And that is the very same reason why Scrum guide has introduced the product goal. Next, and the last point is define your product roadmap around goals and not around features. Can anyone tell me what do you mean by product roadmap? What is product roadmap? Anyone? Okay. So basically a product
I think
roadmap.
Prajakta wants to
Yes.
say, Prajakta.
Yes, please. Actually, I'm sharing the screen, so I won't be able to just see even if you have raised the hands.
Yeah. Ramya, are you able to hear me?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so product roadmap is nothing but like, when we are like getting like achieving that like goal of the product, like what are the priorities like building out of that like, final product. So we have to give the priority and start building of towards that product. So like a different features we can say like for that product, we can take up one by one.
Okay, so you're like partially correct. What product roadmap is? It's a high level plan, or it's a high level strategic plan which will define the entire product planning. your product planning is defined in a product roadmap. So when we talk about product roadmap, so here what we are trying to say is define your product roadmap around your product goals and not around your features. So what we are trying to put over here is when you define, we have seen the problem that we are talking about, right? So when you try to define your product roadmap, and one more thing is that product roadmap is like a tentative plan, and we cannot really rely on that plan because we are working in agile, because we are working in a complex environment. We don't know what uncertainties or what challenges that may come up. So in that case, if we are going to stick to the same plan that we have worked some time back, then your entire thing would fall flat, right? The same thing, that is what Scrum says, right? You don't plan for like 6 months or 1 year or maybe whatever, right? You plan for just a sprint's time, right? And then you do inspect and adapt, and then you make changes accordingly. So exactly what should be done to your product roadmap also. When you define this product roadmap, that doesn't mean that you have to stick to it to the T. So if you are going to do that, then you are going to face problems, challenges, and then you won't be like welcoming changes and enhancement or whatever you want to call. So product roadmap is nothing but the strategic plan that you're going to define for your entire product journey, basically. So when we are talking about the product roadmap in this context, yes, Bhanu.
So is it good to say, Ramya, that product roadmap is about the critical or the milestones what we are looking forward as we develop our product and how we are going to mature
Yes.
while doing achieving the maturity of the project. So
Yes.
product basically. So and the critical milestone which we want to achieve. Is it
Right.
so? Okay.
Right. And that point which you have just brought over here about the milestone, achieving the milestone, all of
Mm-hmm.
that we are going to definitely cover in our next session, wherein we are going to just put forward some ideas of how to define that product roadmap, basically. How do we
Okay.
do that product roadmap?
Mm-hmm.
So for now, as a precursor to our next
Mm-hmm.
session, what you can just remember is you have to define a product roadmap if you have to, and
Okay.
obviously, I mean, that is the way forward for any organization. So if you have to define a product roadmap, then you have to define product roadmap based on your goals, and not that is your product goals, and not on your features or functionalities,
Okay.
or based on your backlog. So if you're going to do that, what will happen is then you will see what we have done in our drainage and waterlogging example, right? So you're just going to define your features based on the I mean, define your user stories or features or epics based on just what you're going to build. So you're going to build a drainage system, and that you are going to just break down into multiple features, and you are going to define your roadmap based on these features. Okay, this sprint, this feature, this sprint, this feature, and then you're doing your product roadmap based on these features. Then definitely you will not achieve or what customer is looking for, or your customer is not going to benefit out of it, because you're doing bottom up approach. It has to be top down approach.
Okay.
It has to be by goals. It should be defined by your, I mean, it should be derived from your vision to goals to your functionalities. That should be the way. So we will definitely talk about the entire product map, roadmap and all of that in our next session. But for now, just remember that the product owner role is not restricted to just managing the product backlog. It is beyond that. So when you look beyond the product backlog is when you realize there is a bigger world beyond this of entire product journey, right? Strategy and journey. So what people tend to do is they just play at a surface level, at a tactical level, or at a very mechanical aspects of product ownership. No. So when you look beyond that is when you understand, and when you are going to approach your product, this is what you have to do. First understand the business problem, then see how system will behave differently, or how the customer is going to benefit when you are successfully you build a product, and then define your roadmap basis your product goals. So this is the introductory to the product management, and in the next session we will be covering more about the product roadmap and so on.
So does
Any
it you mean
questions?
to say,
Yes.
Ramya, so that before even start developing or working on actual developing of the features, so it is important that the goals of the product are clearly called out and defined.
Exactly, that's true.
Okay.
So there is lot of work before you start sprinting, right? When you before you start your sprint, there is lot of prerequisites or lot of work that goes beyond
Okay.
and behind before you start your first sprint. Obviously, when your product backlog itself is not ready, so what team is going to work? And in order to define your product backlog, first you will have to understand what the vision is, what the product goals are, and how you're going to define that. Then create a tentative roadmap, product roadmap, and then you start define your product backlog, then define the priorities, and then you start your sprint. So this is the entire journey of the product, right, or entire product management. So
Mhm.
what you're doing currently, or what mostly people do, is from your sprint journey, right, what you do, but there is a life before that as well. Any questions from anyone, or any thoughts from anyone? Okay, if nothing else, then I think we are good to close the call. So thank you everyone for joining today, and have a nice weekend.
Thanks, Ramya. Appreciate this
Thank you,
because that
everyone.
is something
Thank
because
you.
I'm getting into, so it really helps me a lot then to to correlate the things what are the gaps that needs to be filled in this. Thanks so much.
Thank you. All right, thank you
So
everyone.
Ramya, don't mind, just I'll take another minute of
Yeah,
yours. So just, I mean, for
sure.
the from the example which you have quoted in the presentation about creating a drainage system. So what can
Yes.
hypothetically or in a very high level on layman's term, what can be the goals that we can plan out of it?
Okay, so the goal, one of the goals, so it's like I'm not like expert a product manager or product owner, but what I feel is we'll have to first main goal would be like we want to build a product which would be a drainage system,
Okay.
and from that drainage system, how would you build, right? There would be the infrastructure involved. So first could be that getting that infra right could be one of your goals. Second is the actual functionality. So of actual functionality of ensuring that water is being absorbed, right? Another goal could be I mean, that could be your last goal. And before that, what goal could be is that maybe you want to see that where you want to place that drainage system, whether it would be like at the center of the road, or it would be at the corner of the road, and what materials you will have to use. So these could be different goals, and once you define that goal is when you are going to define like, okay, now if I have to build a drainage system, and if it looks this way, you know that okay, this is what UI I would want, or maybe this is the feature, or this functionality of, maybe I want to dig a pit of this deep length or whatever, right? That would be required. And to dig deeper, what are the materials, or maybe how can we do that? Then that would be defined, and then how would actually do it is would be defined. So this way you can do systematically.
Okay,
Okay.
so Priya, I have a quick question. So, is it like that we should have a wireframe or something like that initially, so we can able to understand it better way?
Yes, yes. So wireframe always helps. I mean, this is what I have generally seen. So before you start any development, right? Obviously, to get that first level of buy-in from the customer of how your product would be seen, right, visually before the functionality, there always would be a wireframe that would be created. Maybe it could be on PPT, or it could be like anything, Adobe thing that would be created for the customer to get that validation, whether okay, this would be the UI, and this would be the themes, these would be the colors and all of that. So once customer approves, that is when team is going to start work on it.
Okay, okay, makes sense.
So, Ramya, one question. I mean, as we talked about the wireframes thing, so I mean, even before actually, I mean, getting into the initiating the development of the project. So, is it in like what we call it as a user persona? So, I mean, that one
Yes,
term, right? So, wherein we define what problem, or basically on
exactly.
a way, kind of a dramatic way, we produce that problem to the customer and say this is what the current problem is, and how your application or the thing whatever you're going to develop at is going to eliminate this. So
Exactly.
then
Yeah.
getting into a wireframe, probably that is what
Later.
is being specifically used, right?
Yes. So user persona, it's like a user journey that we are going to
Okay.
create for that.
Okay.
I mean, first of all, we need to understand who are the end users who are going to
Mhm,
use
mhm,
our
mhm.
system, and based on who are the users, what would be the user journey? Are the users same in nature? It's like then their user journey. For an example, I mean, obviously this we would talk in detail in our subsequent sessions, but for now it's like if someone wants to just an example of a e-commerce site, say Amazon, right? So what would be the user journey? So user will come, he will create his account, or even if not creating an account, he will just come to a landing page. He will select product, he'll put those products in the cart, then he does checkout, he does payment, and he comes out of the application. So this is like entire journey. So based on the type of users, the user personas and the journey would be created. And based on that, obviously the wireframe and all these things will come later on. But yes, so there is a lot of research that goes beyond. So there is something called as a project discovery or the product discovery, where a lot of research has been spent behind understanding all these user journey and user personas.
Thanks, Ramya, for that. Yes, I got it.
So
Yes,
Ramya,
Prajakta.
I have a question like, once you define that roadmap and everything for product, right? And the sprint started like, developing something. But, the later in the stage, like, the product owner realize like just your example, if we take like, there has to be a drainage system. But if instead of like we say like, the goal is to make the drainage system, but it is like it could be like in the middle of the road or the side of the road, right? But they
Right.
decided like no, we don't want to make it in the middle of the road because it will cause like for the vehicles,
Obstruction. Yeah.
so we can make it on. So if that goal get changed, so how do we like go back and like define that roadmap there?
Right. So here the tactics or the strategy or approach has changed. So what we are saying is we are still building a drainage system, but instead of in the middle of the road, now we are saying build it at the corner, maybe at the corner of the road, right? Where I mean you will have to create maybe a slope, and then you have to create a drainage. So this is a definitely a very good input from the team in this entire product journey, right? And this is what we want. I mean, we want everyone to participate in that journey. It's not that always the product owner comes or product manager comes and dictates to the team. It's like two ways thing, right? I mean, the team can also give the inputs. I mean, obviously this could be one example. The other example also could be like it is not technically possible. So whatever the product owner or manager says that you have to do this, but this is not technically possible. The feasibility check, what we say, right? So for that purposes also, we can go back and say that during the discussions or maybe during the backlog refinements or sprint planning or wherever, you can discuss all these things and then proceed accordingly. So here, I'll still stick to that we have not changed the product goal, but we are changing the approaches.
Oh, okay, got it.
So I have one more query here. As you said, like we are doing a lot of research before going forward, like user persona and all, right? So, but as we are into the agile world, we are doing the development in iterative way, right? We are
Right.
just, yeah. So we are doing means basic things. We are delivering the as per the customer needs. We are delivering the basic product, and then we are refining in every iteration. So
Exactly.
instead,
Yeah.
spending the time, much time on the documentation and all, I guess Agile says that we have to spend less time. Means not less time, but yes, means we can just have a high level.
Minimum.
Yeah, the minimum planning and the execution should be more, right?
Right.
So yeah, because it sounds me like a waterfall moreover. So
No, 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 no. So obviously that is what I meant, that whatever plan you're going to create, right, that is
mhm.
not going to be the exhaustive and extensive planning that you would be doing. You would be doing a planning of, for an example, a sprint, right? So at least for that sprint, you would do some amount of planning or research, right? So what we mean is you do that planning or research at least so that your next sprint is taken care of,
Okay.
right? So that level of planning only you will have to focus on, not like extensive planning of say half a year or
Okay, so
a one
yeah,
year.
so you mean like minimum, we can say like a product backlog health, like for 3 to 4 sprint planning, like that.
No, no. What I would say is do a planning for at least one goal.
Okay, yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So if you want to achieve one product goal,
okay,
so there could obviously there would be a bigger goal and there would be multiple goals under that main goal, right? So
yeah, exactly.
the first goal or first objective that you're going to target. So whatever time period. So it could be, for an example, it could be like you are going to achieve that product goal in a quarter, in a quarter's time. Just an
Okay,
example. So do a higher level planning for that quarter only. And now when you come to the sprint level, again obviously you would be going to achieve, so in quarters, for an example, if you want to achieve that quarters goal, so you know that what all things would be going under that goal, what are the different functionalities that you're going to tentatively put under that goal, right? So you would be planning for those goals, and under that goals also, under that functionalities or maybe features also. For an example, goal one will have say 20 features. So you're not going to plan for entire 20 right now. You're going to plan only those features that you're going to pick up for this sprint,
okay,
basically.
okay, okay, makes sense.
All right. Any other question from anyone, or are we good?
Uh, I have one query, but it is not actually related to this. But if you can answer, means I'm having some confusion with the spike thing. So if you
Okay.
can, yeah, explain with an example.
Maybe what
That
we
would-
can do is, I'm not sure if you are a part of our WhatsApp group, that is ACRT group. If no, then maybe you can be a part of our group and we can discuss over there.
Okay,
That
okay,
is fine with you.
okay, okay. No worries.
Okay, so maybe if you can just share your number, or maybe I'll mail you the link, or you can just join in using our link.
Yeah,
If any
perfect,
which ways, if
perfect.
that is fine
Yeah,
with you.
yeah, yeah. That's fine.
All right. Vivek, anything from you? Any closing notes from you?
Yeah.
No, Ramya, I think we're good. I mean, we covered it pretty much well.
All right. So that was it for today's session. We would be coming up with more sessions, and if you have not subscribed to our channel, YouTube channel, please do think of subscribing. And we would be having a series in this product management sessions. So thank you so much for joining today's session, and we'll come up with the continuity of this session in the next
Thanks,
one.
Amna.
Thank you,
Thank you.
everyone.
Thank you. Have a good weekend. Good
Thank
night.
you.
Bye.